So I have a few content hacks up my sleeve and I haven't quite shared these with you yet. These hacks will not only make it easier for you to create content, but they're also going to have a dramatic impact on how your content performs. So let's dive into the 5 content hacks that you may not have heard before, but are going to massively help you on your content creation journey. By the way, guys, this video is sponsored by Pixar. Let's jump into the first hack. Now, I mentioned that this video is sponsored by Pixar, and they're a very fitting sponsor of this video because the first hack involves using their smart background tool. If you've not seen this tool before, then hold on to your hats. It is going to change the game for you. So the tool that I want to demonstrate to you today is called their smart background tool. And it essentially allows you to create photorealistic product shots with ease using AI. So this is a really great hack for product-based business owners, UGC creators, influencers and content creators who work with brands to promote their products. Like, the list really does go on. It's also really useful for social media managers. So let's say you need to create a piece of content really quickly and you don't have much time to hire a studio, or maybe it's a budget thing and you don't have a lot of money to invest in studio lighting, studio equipment, photographers, and instead you're looking for a tool that's going to make it easier for you to create the same end result but using AI. All right, so let's do a live demo of this feature. I'm going to make a cup of coffee and I'm going to use that cup of coffee for the demo. Okay, coffee's been made. Let's take a quick photo. Okay, so this is the photo that I took. Not the most aesthetic. Also, I know the cup is half full, okay? But I want the ratio of milk to coffee to be right. Those that get it, get it. Anyway, let's take this photo. We're gonna open up Pixar and I'm gonna show you how to transform it. I'm so excited to show you this because it's literally gonna blow your mind. Okay, so we're in my Pixar account, we're on the mobile app and we're gonna click on Smart Background. We're now gonna click on the photo that we just took, which is of my coffee. It's going to scan it, and then it's going to do some magical things. So as you can see, it has an option for you to enter some keywords to describe your photo, which is going to help you generate even better results when it comes to their smart background. But without me having to change it, look at what they've created for me. How cool is that? These are all backgrounds generated using their smart background tool. It literally took 2 seconds to take the photo and a couple more seconds to click the smart background tool, and I had photos like that. If you want to try that tool for yourself, head to the link in my description so that you can join Pixar and you can start using all of their features, including their smart background tool. All right, shall we move on to hack number 2? This hack is all about negative headlines. So there was a recent study published in Nature Human Behavior, which found that negative headlines perform a lot better than positive ones. In fact, each additional negative word used in a headline increased clicks by 2.3%. Isn't that insane? It's like every negative word that writers were throwing into their article headlines was just increasing clicks more and more. Why is this relevant to us, you might be asking? You might be listening to this and thinking, I don't write for a newspaper, so I don't think this is relevant to me. You're wrong. It is relevant to you. It's relevant to me too, because article headlines are very similar to our content hooks that we should be including in our posts. They're similar because the purpose of an article headline is to grab people's attention and convince them to click on the article or pick up the newspaper if you're old school and read further to find out more about the story. The purpose of our hooks in our content is to grab our audience's attention, stop them scrolling, and encourage them to continue to consume our content. Both things have a similar purpose, and therefore we can learn a lot from the strategies used when people are writing headlines. In this case, the strategy is to lean heavily on negativity when it comes to writing our hooks. Now, it's worth mentioning that hooks are used across multiple different formats in different ways. If you're uploading short videos, then your hook is the first thing that happens or the first thing that you say in that video. If you're uploading longer videos on YouTube, then your hook is what you say in the first 30 seconds, right? If you're uploading a carousel, your hook is what's said on the first carousel or what's shown in the first carousel. It's always the first thing that your audience consumes. That is what's considered your hook. Here's an example of when I've used a negative hook in my own content. I'm going to give it to you straight. A lot of these tips don't work anymore. Some of them might even be hurting your Instagram channel. Now, I do want you to exercise caution when you're using this hack, because if negativity isn't your vibe, if it goes against what you talk about on your channel, then maybe this isn't a hack that you actually want to use. If it is one that you want to explore, experiment different ways that you utilize it. The example that I just showed you wasn't negative in the sense that someone's going to watch that and cry afterwards. It doesn't have to be mean and it doesn't have to be scaremongering. It can just involve you using words that have a slightly more negative meaning, peppered amongst more positive ones in order for you to grab your audience's attention. Okay, so for this next hack, I feel like I'm like a magician. For my next trick, I'm going to talk about content threads. Now, when I refer to content threads, I'm basically talking about when you create multiple pieces of content that has one thread linking them all together. Let me bring this to life for you. Have you ever just been scrolling through TikTok, mind your own business, come across one specific video, watched it and thought to yourself, I need to see what happens next here. So you follow that person or you comment under it so that the algorithm brings you back to part 2, right? Have you ever had that urge before? This is where content threads come in. Now, there is a distinct difference between creating a series and creating a content thread. Previously, the advice would have been to create a series. And this would have been when you would have delivered a piece of valuable information, but you would have done it across a few different pieces of content. So for example, you would have told an entertaining story through a video, and then you would have said follow for part 2. Whilst creating a series can still sometimes be effective, there are occasions now where people actually find it quite frustrating and might be turned off from your content if you do this too much.
I hate it.
This basically happens when you create a series that doesn't need to be a series. So when you tell a story and you do it over 2 videos, even though you know full blown well you could have fit it into one, that is when people will be turned off by your content and it will end up having the opposite effect to the one that you want. A content thread now is slightly different because it doesn't have to be part of a series. It's simply when you talk about something or present a piece of information which people will want an update on later. Let me give you some examples of this. I was on TikTok the other day and someone's post popped up where she was talking about how it's day 1 of her quitting vaping. Great storyteller, very energetic personality, drew me right in and I was like, I need an update. I want to follow your journey. Take me through day by day what it's been like to quit vaping. I don't know why I was so invested in this. I don't even vape, but I was like, tell me more.
Tell me more.
So I followed her because I was like, I need to know how she's getting on with her journey of quitting vaping, right? It's a really good example of that. She didn't finish it by saying, follow for part 2. She just told us that she was trying to quit vaping and it was day 1. Naturally, a lot of us are going to want to check back in with her to find out how she gets on day 3 and day 6 or day 20, whatever it may be. Another great example of this is when a business teases the fact that they're about to launch something. Grace Beverly, who owns Tala, is really good at this. She'll hint to something in a story. She'll wear an outfit or a top in her stories and she'll put like the eyes emoji. So then everyone thinks, oh my God, is that going to be a new release? And they'll check back in on her content to find out when this is going to be released and if something new's coming. Vloggers are also great examples for this. I was watching a vlogger the other day who was talking about her training for the London Marathon. Best believe that I subscribed to her content because I was like, well, I want to know how the marathon goes. Take me through your journey. Again, I don't know why I find it so interesting. I'm not a runner, but do you see what I mean? People who create content and they mention the fact they're about to move to Australia. Well, now you've got a content thread running through all your future content about your move, and now people want to follow you to find out how the move goes. Think about how you can create content threads through your content because it keeps people coming back, and it's one of the best tactics when it comes to getting someone who views your content to convert to someone who follows you. All right, hack number 3 is all about channel diversification. So I'm referring to having multiple social media channels and actually managing to cross-promote them the right way. This is a really topical one because the state of social media at the minute, I mean, it's all over the place, isn't it? It's all over the place. There's a threat that TikTok might get banned one day, and therefore everyone's thinking, oh my God, do I need to be on YouTube? Do I need to be on Instagram? How do I get people to move over from my TikTok to my YouTube or my Instagram, etc., etc.? Well, I'm going to tell you how. First thing that you need to be aware of here is how much of an ask it is to get someone who's watching your TikTok to go over to your YouTube or your Instagram to follow you there. We underestimate how much we're asking of people when it comes to this because really, it doesn't seem like a big ask, but it's a really big one. Think back to the last time you were on like a TikTok hole where you're just scrolling, or YouTube or Instagram or Pinterest, whatever it might be. If you came across someone who you followed and they were saying, hey guys, go over to my Instagram to follow me there, would you have done it? Would you have left the app that you were currently on, that you were enjoying scrolling on, to go and find this one creator on another account?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm willing to bet that you wouldn't have done that unless they use this tactic. This tactic is to incentivize people to go on your other channel. We're not just going to ask people to go over because that's not enough. We are going to give them a reason to go over. One of my favorite examples of when people do this is when people create a piece of content that's exclusive to another channel. So for example, maybe you tell everyone that the behind the scenes of you creating your new product or the behind the scenes of you creating your content is over on your Instagram stories, right? So people have to leave their TikTok to go over to Instagram. Or maybe you tell people that the bloopers of your skits are over on your Instagram stories. Or for all you brands out there, maybe you want to do flash sale announcements and they're only available on one specific app. A way in which I've seen brands do this really well is when they create a broadcast channel on Instagram, which is basically a group chat with thousands of people where you're the only one who can talk. And they will use this broadcast channel to share flash sales and last minute discount codes to their audience. And that works super well because you've heavily incentivized someone to go over to your Instagram channel and to join your broadcast channel in order for them to get access to something that's super valuable to them. Now, this tactic works best if the thing that you're offering, the incentive that you're offering, is regular. Right? So maybe you go live over on one of the other channels, but you go live once a month or once a week. If you go live once and you tell people, hey, go and follow me on Instagram because I'm about to go live, don't get me wrong, it might work. You might get a few people following you over there, but it's not going to work anywhere near as well because they don't actually need to follow you in order to see that one live. They can just go over and watch the live. You want there to be consistent value that you're offering on a regular basis on one specific channel that you can direct people to. The consistency is what gets them to follow you. All right, so this final content hack is ever so slightly controversial. You know, I always like to leave these ones to the last. My theory is that if you've made it this far in this video, you clearly vibe with what I'm saying. So maybe you're more likely to hear me out when I say things that might go slightly against the grain. The hack here is to take a break from creating content. Now, few caveats here. I'm not saying to stop posting content on social media unless you need to do that in order to take a break. In an ideal world, you would have batch some content in advance, which would allow you to share content regularly whilst also taking a break from creating content. The reason why I say this is because I am coming across more and more creators within my membership community, for example, who are experiencing the same problem. They're fatigued, they're tired, and the creativity behind their content has gone out of the window because they're stuck in this content creation hamster wheel. They're basically being milked like a cow for every last bit of content that they can create. And I've been in that situation multiple times too. A lot of the time, to break this cycle, the only thing you can do is to stop creating for a bit. Whether that's a week, whether that's 2 weeks, however long you think you need, and also however long you can get away with without your channel suffering, you're going to want to take a break. And you know what? To even take this a little bit further, during this break, you kind of want to avoid social media for a bit. This should be a complete clean break. I'm not talking about taking a break from creating content so that you can sit down and come up with ideas. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about literally diverting your mind away from the content that you create. This is so useful. Sometimes you need to take a step back in order to re-engage your creativity and to fall back in love with the thing that you're creating. Myself and my husband have recently started going on staycations because apparently, you know, that's the stage of life that I'm in. And we've been going to these like cabins out in the middle of nowhere where we have no social media, or like the last one we went to, we like locked our phone away and we didn't have our phone for 3 days. And when I got back, I was like, oh my God, I'm overflowing with ideas. Overflowing with ideas simply because I didn't allow myself to think of ideas for 3 days. And that allowed me to touch grass, as the kids would say, reconnect with the real world. And that made it so much easier for me to create content for my audience again. It was like a way of taking a step back so that you can take 4 steps forward. By the way, you don't have to rent a cabin in the woods in order to do this. It's just, this is what we need to do in order to come on social media. We need like extreme situations. All right, my loves, those are my 5 hacks. Let me know which one you preferred the most and which one you're going to use in the comments. Do not forget to check out Pixar so that you can use this smart background tool. I feel like you're going to have so much fun with it. It's such an incredible tool. If you feel like hanging around, I recommend checking out this video. It's all about how the TikTok ban will impact all creators. I'm not just talking about the fact that if it's banned in the US, people in the US won't be able to use it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how it's going to impact Instagrammers, how it's going to impact people from different locations. It's a really important video for all creators and business owners to watch. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I cannot wait to see you in my next video.